Hello, this is Greg Allison, Green Greg's, coming to you on the 24th of June, 21. Time on deck is 20:39 hours Central Daylight Time. Russian officials have threatened to bomb United Kingdom ships in the Black Sea, and they have been practicing taking out a U.S. carrier strike group in the Pacific. They've also been circling Great Britain quite a bit of late with their ships. So what are they doing? The Russian Navy seems to be bristling. What are they doing this for? Why? What is going on? Is this threatening World War III? Surely they wouldn't do this just by themselves. What is cooking here, guys? We're going to get all into this. We're going to talk about it. But I bring this to you in part of my eyes wide open and head on a swivel news to let you know that you need to prepare. Because there's a proposition this channel help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. And you need to know these things. I mean, I really think that the biggest chance that we might wind up in World War III would be by accident or miscalculation. But with all this posturing and bristling and saber rattling, it could happen. And maybe there's more to it. Maybe something's cooking, but I don't know. We're going to get all into this. So subscribe to my channel. Bang the update notification bell and click all to get more videos on this and other topics such as hey, you need to grow your own food because I really think our grid may be going down with all these things going around, and for many reasons. And I've covered that quite often. And also, you need to. I got videos on that, gardening. I got videos on aquaponics. I got videos on microgreens. Hey, you can make a living market garden even. I've got videos on raising worms, so you don't have to go to the stores and buy stuff for your gardens. So you can be totally independent. I've got videos on how to eat free from the weeds and the trees. But guys, you need to be prepared for when it gets bad to have stuff in store and things ready, because otherwise you might find yourself coming up short. On that tune, I do have a special. Prepwithgreg.com. We got prepwithgreg.com. We've got a $300 off for a 3-month supply of long-term storage food that lasts 25 years. You get 2,000 calories a day with this. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, drinks, and desserts. This will make you a winner. This is freeze-dried food that reconstitutes into a real food. It's not mush. This is good stuff. Yeah, so check it out. And also, when you get to prepwithgreg.com, click on the My Patriot Supply logo, and it goes into their page for all kinds of other prepping supplies, which will do you quite good. So it'll help you. It'll help me too if you go to prepwithgreg.com, because you get great savings, great deals, and it helps my channel here too. So please check that out. So let's get all into this and find out what in the world is cooking with the Russians. Why are they bristling the way they are? Well, a lot of it still goes back to what's going on with Crimea, and we'll talk about why that is so critical to the Russians and their Navy, and why I think that they would fight an all-out war over that. They'll take on anybody. For them, this is a WW3 type material. And it just so happens that the HMS Defender, this was the ship that was getting into what Russia considers their waters around Crimea, which is not recognized by the West because those waters are by the West considered to be part of the Ukraine. But Russia has annexed that and claims it as their own. So Russia claims they forced the HMS Defender to leave their waters just yesterday. And they did this with live fire and bombing. So they fired warning shots and they dropped bombs, I guess, in advance or wherever they thought the ship might go. This is the first time there's been live fire used by Russians against a NATO ally of us since the Cold War. This is new. This is big. It's not happened in quite a while. This is where you get in some serious miscalculations that things could go bad and go awry. So Russia's deputy foreign minister, Sergei Ryabkov, if I got his name right, warned that the state will bomb any target which disregards prior warnings. As in the threat to the West, Mr. Ryabkov claimed that no state should violate Russia's borders. And they're talking here about the Crimea, because they consider that their border. So although the West does not recognize their country's claims, they still will have to do it. And they claim if such an incursion occurs again, that Russia will take action to defend their waters. They're threatening to bomb NATO ships. They threatened to bomb the UK ships. So he further went on, I want to warn everyone violating the state borders of the Russian Federation under the slogan of free navigation from such provocative steps, because the security of our country comes first. This is what the Russians are saying. And they're saying, and they back their comments up with their actions just yesterday. Yeah, Wednesday. Today is Thursday. So that's what's happening. And so, so they claim that if this happened, there'd be serious consequences for the United Kingdom or anyone else who tried to transgress upon their territory. And he further added, "We are outraged by the United Kingdom's behavior and would like to note that balancing on the brink of confrontation is fraught with very serious consequences for those who plan such events and try to carry them out." So they're really rattling their saber pretty hard. This is a very serious situation. I'm quoting them again. "We condemn the actions of the British side. The territorial integrity of the Russian Federation is inviolable." He said, "The inviolability of the borders is an absolute imperative, and we will protect all this both through political, diplomatic, and when necessary, military methods." So he didn't mince any words about that. So they basically summoned the British attaché to the Russian government. And so Britain's ambassador to Russia, Deborah Bronett, will also be summoned supposedly to answer for the British government's actions, whatever that means. But and they claim they ran the HMS Defender off. The British deny this, so there's some contention about that. But there was bombs dropped. Things happened. So let's see. I'm going to come here and do this and share with some of these articles and show you a couple of things on this. Wow, what the heck? There's too many ads popping up some of this junk. I'm going to show it or not. All right, let's go in here. We're going to do a little sharing real quick. Screen share. We're going to talk through this, and we're going to show you some maps and talk about these things and put it all in context. Talk about Russian Navy and why it really don't make sense, to be honest. It don't make sense for some of their posturing, at least with regards to what they're doing in the Pacific. Now, I can sit around Crimea. They're surrounding the British Isles of late. It has been very bristly action by the Russians. So that's got Great Britain on hacks, on their hackles, I guess. So this is an article here talking about those events. Here's Mr. Sergei Romankov right here. Thought his name popped up. I put my cursor over there a minute ago. And let's see if we can find a British destroyer under picture here. That's it. So let's go over here to another article. Oh, guys, I'm going to move some stuff around. Click on things. But some people are claiming, "Wow, this is all planned. It's all staged." This is what Nick Robinson claims. He said, "Royal Navy set up Russia attacking the Black Sea." Why? Because they want more money according to these guys for the HMS Navy, Her Majesty's Service. Who knows? Who knows, guys? When I got too much junk trying to load here. So he claims this whole thing was a setup, that they were baited or maybe even worked together toward this end. Some corporate group. Well, the last thing the Russians want is their enemy to give their enemies an excuse to build more assets to attack them with. So that don't make walking around sense either. I don't know here, Mr. Robinson. That's kind of a strange argument, Mr. Nick Robinson. So killed that. All right. Some of these things. Here we are. This is Crimea right here. Crimea is this. It's almost an island. It actually does connect to the Ukraine by a little bitty narrow land bridge right here. And so technically it's a peninsula. But maybe, I don't know if that actually connects it here or not. I think there's breaks in that. But this is a big landmass in the middle of the top center, kind of like your uvula sticking down your throat, right, in the Black Sea. So if you look at the Black Sea, it looks kind of like your mouth hanging open, and this looks like your uvula, what do they call that thing, hanging down, which is always is a point of soreness, and here too it's a point of soreness, kind of like that, right? So Sevastopol here is their main shipyard. This is their biggest warm water shipyard, apparently, here in the Black Sea. Fortunately for Russia, they got to go through NATO ally, which is kind of a questionable NATO ally, in my opinion, Turkey to get in and out. So Turkey is actually trading with Russia now. So who knows? Turkey's kind of going their own way now. They got to get through Turkish waters to get in and out of the Black Sea. Maybe that's why they protect their base there in Syria so devoutly too. They have a naval base in Syria, although it's much smaller. And so that gives them access to the Mediterranean and maybe even out into the Atlantic if they can get through the Strait of Gibraltar. But they've got to get through a lot of straits to operate these other waters out of these seas. So we're going to go more into that. So here is about their shipyard, the Sevastopol, if I'm saying that anywhere near right, shipyard, which was founded by the Imperial Russian Navy in 1783. For those that don't know, Crimea was Russian since the Crimean War, and Russia actually gave it to the Ukraine when the Ukraine came into the Soviet Union. But it was ethnically mostly Russian, and so the Crimeans voted to join Russia. So, although most Americans consider it part of the Ukraine, so there's a lot of contention over that topic. Personally, I think Russia is really making a lot of inroads into Ukraine, which are most unfortunate. But I don't think Crimea is worth fighting over because they will go all the way for it, and it is ethnically Russian. And so I see very little to be gained out of fighting them over Crimea. So here we are. This is the other little thing I was talking about, is that the Russian military has been practicing taking out an enemy carrier strike group in the Pacific. For those of you who don't know, in the last few weeks, the Russians have been training just right around the Hawaiian Islands. And we've had to send up F-22s several times, little sorties of F-22s, just to figure out what was going on there, to keep them at bay, basically. So to meet them, to make sure that they don't come in too close. That's what you do. It's like what Taiwan has to do when China sends military airplanes in their airspace. So we've had to scramble our F-22s several times because of Russian maneuvers near the Hawaiian Islands. And so it's thought that there's two things afoot here. One was that when they left some ships behind, and it was thought that they were there to monitor some of our missile tests that we were conducting. But so there was apparently an ambition of practicing taking out one of our carrier strike groups. I mean, they were in our seas or our Hawaiian Navy base. So that looks like what they were up to. Why would they do that? Why would they be aiming at this in the middle of the Pacific, so far away from their main areas of concern? Good question. Maybe they're working in concert with China. If we have a war, is that part of their plans? I don't know. But they were operating out of Vladivostok. And I've talked about Vladivostok a few times. I talked about that back on the 4th of July last year and said China claims Vladivostok as their own land, fishing or whatever it is. They claim it as their own, and they want to reclaim it. And this is a big point of potential conflict between the Soviet Union, or excuse me, Russia. I still harken back to the old days, guys. Between the military back in the Cold War, between Russia and China. And I had suggested this might be a good thing for us to use to try to court Russia into our camp, because eventually their biggest long-term enemy will be China and not us. But that may be hard to do at this point in time, given where everything's at. But Russia would be more likely to be more of an ally to us than China. And China is the one who's the big 900-pound gorilla in the room. That's the one we've really got to watch for. Except, bear in mind that Russia has the most strategic weapons right now, nuclear weapons. So Russia is very dangerous to us, but China poses a bigger danger in the long run. But Vladivostok, it just so happens, is really their biggest warm water Navy base, especially going into the Pacific that gets free open access to open waters, but at least in the Pacific. So in Russia, they have Siberia and they have Pacific assets, Kamchatka Island. So Russia does not want to give that up. They would not want to give up Vladivostok. But you can see the Chinese definitely want it. Their wolf warrior stance, and they call it Hashinwa. Right here, that's what the Chinese call it. So there we are, guys. So let's have a look at some more of these things here. I have to move some stuff around so I can grab other. Pull this up here. There we go. So let's look at what Russia's main Navy base, its Northern Fleet, is based on the Barents Sea. The problem is that the Barents Sea is not always ice-free. The Barents Sea has to contend with a lot of ice in the wintertime because it's almost the Arctic Ocean, guys. So even though it gets some warmth coming out of still the Gulf Stream, it's still basically Arctic Ocean. And so they can't count on being ice-free until like May. I mean, look, here it is, guys. Look at this. See, this is Norway. So you got to go around Norway to get here. Even if this is ice-free, they got to go around Norway. So, you know, these seas are very problematic up in here, guys. They got to go around Norway to get to the Atlantic, get into the Pacific. And that's what they have Vladivostok for. This is their main route to the Atlantic Ocean that don't have to deal with the strait, because they have to get around all this stuff here. So this is what they're contending with. This is their main naval base here, the Barents Sea. Barents Sea, I should say. Yeah, so this is here in Wikipedia. Now, if we come over here, I should give you a better perspective on what the Barents Sea is, where it's at in the global scheme of things. Close that down. You know, this map, the projection of this map is blown up for the polar regions, so it makes this look bigger and everything below. This is actually pretty small up in here, guys. It's just they're trying to put this in a flat projection, you know, Mercator type projection. But you know, this is not this huge, comparatively speaking. So here's your Barents Sea area, but they got to come all the way around Norway to get down in the Norwegian Sea to get out into the Atlantic Ocean. So it's kind of a rough route to follow. Vladivostok is over here on this side. So they got a little space over here in Syria. This is why Russia's defending Syria, guys. This is why they're behind al-Assad. Here you can see the Barents Sea. It has some ice. They got some ice here and a little bit of ice free in this map. But this is May. This is when it starts retreat. This is the month of May. It's already beginning to retreat here. See, May 2021. A little ice here right at the shoreline, and median ice cap. That's where it normally goes to, but it can get bigger. And of course, you can have a lot of icebergs and things all in here. So this is rough water to navigate. So it's not the best place to have your main naval base, but it's the best they can do with Russia, because you know their land is over here. This is all foreign land through here to them. So there they go. So now to give you an idea about the Russian fleet itself, they got one aircraft carrier. Of course, we got 10, but we face an awful lot of other things, and we have jet power worldwide. Amphibious warships, they got half as many as us. If Russia was on the country we had to contend, that wouldn't be so bad. Of course, what they've got in nukes way outranking. Now, Corvette warships, yeah, they got 70 of those. They're the #1 Navy in the world with Corvette warships. We've only got 2, so they got 35 times more than we got. And those are the small warships that are highly maneuverable. They use for coastal defense. Let's go over. So what's a Corvette? Here we go. These are Corvettes right here, guys. So they're pretty substantial battleships, and they usually have some of your highest tech weapons on them. They're not a destroyer. They're typically used for coastal defense. That's a smaller Corvette there. So there's a lot of different Corvette battleships, guys. That's a good size one here. So they're not to be taken lightly. But Russia's got 70 of those. Cruisers, they got 5. Destroyers, 14. So we outrank them there. Frigates, only got 5. They used to have a lot more ships, but when the Soviet Union broke apart, a lot of those went away. They've got a fair number of nuclear submarines, 33. And they got 17 total other submarines. Of course, all of ours are practically nuclear, but we got 2. It's not nuclear. That's kind of strange. But we have 71 nuclear submarines, 2 times more than them, practically speaking there. But, you know, Russia is the only Navy we've got to face in the world. We're facing also China now, and China actually has more numerically than the United States. They don't have the displacement of our ships, but numerically they have more ships than us. So combined, if they form a combined force against us, we got something to contend with. Just something to think about there, guys. Just something to consider, something to ponder. So let's stop this share. What does it all mean? Why is Russia doing this? Why are they're actually, they've been going around the British Isles, just patrolling right around the British Isles. It's got the Brits a bit edgy. I say British Isles, we're talking the United Kingdom, Ireland. So those guys are a bit edgy over that. Why do they keep doing that? They are, you know, training right around the Hawaiian waters. It makes us just kind of push back kind of the way we're going to the South China Sea. Are they working in concert with China? Do they have something planned, or is this just a show of force? Probably just a show of force. Probably just they're trying to say, hey, we're still here in the world. We're still big. Pay attention to us. We haven't blown away. Maybe that's it. But they definitely want to defend their actions in Ukraine, especially their taking of Crimea. I don't see that changing. I think they would go full up to World War III if we try to take Crimea back. So I've said that for a long time. I don't think Crimea is worth it. I think if we ceded Crimea to them, tell them to back off and not take anything else out of the Ukraine, and cut a deal for them to work with, to cut out whatever they're doing there in Ukraine. They work with us against China. China. It would serve everybody's interest in the long run in containing China until such point as China gets sufficiently aged. They're no longer the problem they pose today. If we could just kind of hold them at bay for a while, Russia is already declining. So this would keep China from overrunning them in the meantime. Maybe, possibly. We shall see. Just an idea, but right now Russia's, you know, we've been kicking sand at them and they're kicking back. We've been challenging them, and they've been challenging back. And maybe, you know, I can't say that our challenges are not without cause. You know, they've been apparently involved in a lot of the hacking. And some people think a lot of that hacking, we blame them on, or, you know, other organizations. You know, hey, whatever the case is, we have a lot of tension with Russia right now. And they have a lot of nuclear weapons. So there's still a lot of potential for miscalculation, a lot of potential for mistakes. We've already came very close, I mean, within just a hair of having nuclear war with Russia several times over the last several decades. I mean, many times. And now we got other players that we have to contend with, like China. So these probabilities start multiplying. And we have other countries that are kind of bristling each other, like India and Pakistan, India and China, Iran and Israel. Guys, the world is fraught with danger today. Let's hope these things don't come to pass. Let's hope we can take the tensions out. One of the big things that there's contentions about in the world today is water. And I'm calling for an Apollo project on water purification, water desalination, excuse me. And it can be a very profitable project. I think America should lead the way on that. And it would help solve water issues in the Southwest. If we could get, even if we can just get LA making their own water from the ocean there. LA, San Francisco, Sacramento Valley, all those areas. That would be huge. Maybe we wouldn't gobble down 1 billion gallons a day out of the Colorado River, and that could be used for people in other parts of the Southwest. So there we have it. Yeah, we're having a lot of issues. We could solve a lot of them in such ways that would serve our country. There's a lot of things we could do to try to tamp down the tensions. But we're not very good at that right now. We're just messing up. We're stepping on our toes, and we're stepping on our toes. We're like a bad dance partner. You know, when we were dancing, we're stepping on their toes. We're stepping on our own toes. We're staggering, and, you know, we might just fall down on the dance floor as we're jumping around. I don't know. You know, and the other partners, they ain't no better. So that's the problem. That's the issue. And you got, yeah, we've been aggressive in the past. China and Russia are both being quite aggressive now, especially China. Their so-called wolf warrior stance. So, you know, we can always write our congressman, always push for things. I'll be pushing more for this water situation. I'll be pushing more for us to live in homes that we can be totally independent from. We won't need all this junk that the governments give us, and won't be empowering them the way we do. Maybe that's the best thing. Trust none of these governments, not ours, theirs, or any of them, because government's main objective is to stay in power, and they all need to be kind of de-toothed. We need to pull the fangs out of all of them worldwide. But you know, you can't exactly entirely defang ours until the other guys also start falling down a little bit. Well, I don't know, maybe. So there we have it, guys. We live in perilous times, very perilous times. I do believe in defense. We got to defend ourselves. I like to see a world in which we didn't have to worry about that. We can get there, but it's not going to be easy. Well, technically we get there. Our emotions and the power mongering in the world today are the biggest problems that might prevent us from getting there. Power mongers play the emotions of the other people. They don't have them. It's not emotions other than ego and greed. All right, my friends. In the meantime, you need to prepare. Get ready. Go to prepwithgreg.com. Also check out Tree Leaf Market. If you're growing your garden, great seed deals. Check out the links below and check my show notes and the pin notes. Now I'm going to say take care. Hope everybody has a good weekend coming up. And I want to thank all of you for watching.